Yeah, man. How's your headphones? Are they too loud, too quiet?
I mean, they're pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
All right, you ready to knock into this thing?
I'm ready to knock into it, dude.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Jameson on the Rocks podcast. Today I have with me Mr. Parker. Tell me how to pronounce your last name. Is it Wierling?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
sweet. I had it.
No,
I didn't want to botch it though.
No, it's okay. It
Yeah.
it is botched all the time.
Is it?
Actually.
What do people say usually?
Wierling is the
Wierling.
main one.
Oh,
I've gotten
that's whack.
Wierling.
Okay.
I've gotten Warling once, but I think they must have been on something.
Out
That's
of state.
Pretty rough. Yeah.
It's pretty bad. I felt like it looked like Whirling, but I didn't want to come here and botch it.
It's okay.
Whirling's right.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah,
All right,
I
sweet.
appreciate you asking.
No problem, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself, but first, just some context for the audience and everything. I believe from what I've read, I don't know very much about you. I know you're actor, musician, podcaster from
Correct.
the website. So a man of many statures, which I respect. I like doing it all as well. Kind of tell me how you got going. Where do you live? Are you Athens based?
Yeah, I go back and forth between Athens and Atlanta
Okay.
every week, actually.
Every
So,
week. Okay, just
yeah,
for work or
because-
school or
For work.
Okay.
So I am a music teacher as well. So
Awesome.
when I moved here in May, I still kept my Monday and Tuesday students in Atlanta.
Okay.
Because it's just really good pay. I go in home, so I
Yeah.
go to like their house and teach them
Ooh,
there.
It's like piano, vocal,
Guitar, drums, and bass, but I don't have a lot of bass students.
Okay,
I
interesting.
got one bass student in Athens, and he's by far the coolest,
Yeah?
which I think says something about bass in general.
Very telling. Very
Yeah.
telling.
But yeah, so I go back and forth every week.
Okay.
But the drive's not that bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Not too bad. I wondered because I only recently came to start hearing about you. I think it was probably when Drew Beskin started posting stuff about you and maybe the single or maybe it was probably that EP release show. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I'd known the On the Note before that because I'd heard of that. It's On the Note, right? Am I saying that right?
On that note, yeah.
On that note, excuse me.
That's okay.
On the Note podcast, I had heard of that, but I wasn't aware that it was you. So, and then I pieced it all together. I was like, all right, here we are.
Yeah. Drew's the man. He's been
Drew's the
a
homie.
huge supporter and
Yeah.
help. And I met him here before I moved here.
Okay.
He was like, if you want to meet people here, you should meet up with Tommy Troutwine. And then
That's a good central.
yeah, exactly.
Host. Yeah.
And so we met for coffee, and then
Yeah.
I was like, man, this place is so cool. I'd love to, it might be really nice to move here. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, we got a room open if you want to.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm living with Tommy.
With the
and
trot one? No way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a good musical start. You
yeah,
probably know everybody at
the
this point.
Wabaz studio. Yeah, everybody's coming in all
Yeah.
the time.
I love
every
that.
day there's somebody there, which
That's
is
great, man.
really cool.
Yeah, Tommy's killing it, man. All those guys are so cool, man. Drew himself is one of the smartest musical managerial minds in town. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've noticed that, but he's one of the wisest guys.
I just asked him if we could get together and because he just saw the show, which was my first one in Athens.
Yeah, how did that go, by the way? Is Flickr?
Yeah, Flickr. It was really
Okay.
fun. I had Jacob Malo and Aunt Moth, and they killed it.
Yeah?
It was just a blast. Yeah, I hadn't played live in 3 years,
Ooh,
probably,
good
at least with
turnout.
a band. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just excited to do it
Uh-huh.
regardless of how many people came because
Yeah.
it's
It's been 3 years.
been
I mean,
3
shit,
years.
You're probably itching, you know what I mean?
yeah. And once you it's one of those things where the longer you wait, the scarier it
Oh,
gets,
yeah,
and
for
the
sure.
bigger the mountain seems. So
Yeah.
I felt like let's do it once. So let me just get it out of the way so I can want to keep doing it again.
I respect that, man. It's so true because literally we took 2 months off this summer, and I was nervous for the next one. I was like,
Yeah.
why am I nervous? We played 55 shows last year. What are you
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel you there. I'm glad it went well, man. Flickr is a great spot for anybody coming into Athens. Great choice. Where did you move from? I guess I'm trying to find the backstory here first before we get too deep into it.
Smyrna, Georgia, if you know where that is.
No, I never heard of that.
Near Vinings.
Vinings.
I mean, it's it's Atlanta. It's 20
Yeah, okay.
minutes from Atlanta. So
Atlanta area.
it's right outside the perimeter.
Okay, sweet. And you've lived there your whole life, or?
So I lived there up until I graduated high school, and then
Okay.
moved to Los Angeles for 5.5 years.
How'd you like that?
It was cool.
It's interesting. Was that for the acting side of things, probably?
it was mainly for the
Okay.
acting stuff.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool part of the journey. It's kind of wild to think that I was there for so long because
Yeah, that's a long
it
time.
doesn't. Yeah, it's been a year and a half maybe since I went back. So
Okay.
or since I left.
Yeah.
So it's funny to think that was like a part of my life.
Yeah,
you know
dude.
what I mean?
5.5 years is not just like, oh, you moved over there for a little bit. It's like you were there.
Yeah. But you know, it is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But
I've never been, man. I'm jealous. It's cool.
Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, it's great to visit, I think. I think living there is a whole different ball game.
I hear that a lot these days. That's kind of the talk. But did you move there at the time? Were you into just acting, or was that for music too?
I've been acting longer than I've been playing music, but music has probably a more special place in my heart.
Maybe, yeah.
But acting is still something I really love to do. But the reason why I moved out there is like, it just felt, well, first of all, it was going to be a gap year, and clearly that didn't happen.
A good one, a good sized gap year.
Yeah, good sized gap
I respect that. Might as well.
And it was, beautiful place, and things were going pretty well for a while. But then once the pandemic happened, all the sets were shut down. None of the auditions were happening. And then even when they did start to come back, everything is taped. So you tape an audition. So you don't have to go anywhere. So you don't have to live anywhere particular.
Okay, interesting.
So it was just like paying a lot of rent money.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no reason.
Interesting.
Except for the palm trees.
Doesn't sound too bad. That's interesting, man. That's wild, dude. Like, what was it like being out there going from Georgia to LA? Was it pretty big culture shock at first, I imagine?
A little bit, but I had lived there for about 3 months when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
For acting, they used to do a thing called pilot season, where all the pilots of a show, like the first episode of a show, were cast between January and May every year. So there was like a pilgrimage of actors from around the country to go to LA and try to book something. So I did that my junior year of high school. So I already had and even before that, I'd go there for spring break with my parents and stuff.
Yeah. So you've been around there.
And I knew a few people, but it was a bigger culture shock moving from Atlanta to Athens.
Really?
Because I'd only lived in big cities my whole life.
The biggest, right?
And now every time I go somewhere, I see somebody I know. And I'm like, this is so weird.
Do you like it?
Yeah,
it's cool?
It's cool. Yeah, it is nice.
Because Athens is like a big city, but like not. You know what I mean? It's like a country city, I guess, is what I would call it, or something. Which is what I love about it, because I don't really want to be in Atlanta too bad,
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
And I moved here in May, so it was like, I'm like, oh, it's a nice, quiet, quaint town.
Yeah.
And I had the whole summer without any students, and now all the students here, I'm like, oh, whoa, this place is wild.
Yeah, it's happening.
Very different during the summer.
It's amazing how much it dies in the summer, man. It's very cool. Very cool. I like it in summer for about the first 2 months. But that's interesting, man. What'd you think about, like, I mean, obviously Atlanta, LA is going to have a lot more opportunities if you're perhaps in the industry you're in, what have you thought about Athens so far opportunity-wise? Has it been like, oh, there's not as much going on, or is it?
I think that what is so cool about here is that everybody is very supportive of each other, and it is like kind of a tight community.
Very tight, yeah.
Whereas in Atlanta, and maybe part of this is my own fault for not putting myself out there as much, but it seemed a little bit more daunting to try to
like
find
cutthroat
people.
kind of, or
maybe, yeah. It was just harder to find people, I guess. And
that makes sense.
When I came here for the first time to like do anything, it was to record music with Patrick Doherty.
I've heard of Patrick. Yeah,
so he's got Racket Recording Studios.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people in there now. It seems to be popping.
Yes, it's a great studio. If anybody needs good studio time, he's a great engineer. The studio's awesome, and
it's got one tennis racket on the wall.
Yes, I think he upgraded to a few.
Ooh,
few tennis rackets
very
now.
appropriate. Very appropriate.
But Gideon Johnson played drums on that EP.
Legend.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Do you know Clark Sound?
I've heard the name. Don't know him.
He's based in Atlanta, but he might as well be based here. He comes here all the time. So they kind of came together to help me make this, and then we had people come in and out, like Cannon. Yeah. Cannon did some slide and some guitar.
Cannon's a man. Well, that's how Athens works right there. You make EP, all the homies are playing on it, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. And is this, which EP you're referring to? Is this the one that's been out or it's coming out?
So I have 2 EPs that are like on the
on the streaming.
Not on the streaming yet. Okay. One of them's coming out September 29th.
Sweet. So this will come out in great timing for that.
Yes,
be a good promo.
Perfect. Yeah. So the new single that just came out, Better Than You Blues, came out last week.
I dig it. And it's very blues.
Yeah, very blues.
I mean? Very cool.
It's the most blues thing I've ever done.
Good lyrics, man. Very stick it to the man lyrics or something like that.
Yeah. I just wanted to be petty.
Yeah, that would be a better way to describe it. Like the Boston lines and all that stuff. I like all that stuff. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. But that song is the single off of the EP that's coming out at the end of the month called "It's So You."
It's So You.
And then that one I did in Philadelphia a year ago with a guy named Kevin Basco. Rubber Band Gun is like his moniker. He's really sick. We recorded everything to tape, which was
sick,
part of the reason why I wanted to go do it, because I thought that'd be really fun.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the EP I was just talking about with Patrick and Gideon and Clark, that we did here in Athens, and that's I don't know when it's gonna come out yet, but that's that'll probably be maybe the end of the year.
Well, the fact that you got 2 in the queue is pretty impressive, man. Good for you, dude. How many songs on each?
4 for the one coming up in September, and then 3 for the other one.
Full album, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Good
Thank
for you,
you.
dude. That's great. I'm excited to hear it. Before we keep going, I want to make sure I press record on this camera. You ever
Totally.
do that?
Yes, I do it all the time.
Hold on. Oh yeah, we're good.
All right, we're good to go. We're good.
Rookie move.
No, man, I've done that. I've like just not recorded my
Yeah,
own
that's what
vocals
I'm
before.
saying. Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like you feel like such an idiot.
That's like my worst nightmare is getting to the end of the podcast and like going to turn the camera off and it's already off. It's like
and you're like,
because then you wasted your guest time. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But anyways, back to the EPs. That's wonderful, dude. I'm excited to hear that. I think that's great, dude. Like 2 EPs coming out in the next couple. I mean, that's movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Thanks.
And you got a lot of old music on there too that I dug.
Yeah.
Some of it was more like not R&B or like rap flow almost, but like I think it was Always.
Yeah, Always.
That was my favorite one out of all of your songs, dude. I thought that was cool.
Appreciate it. I'm glad that I do have those older songs on there for people to enjoy. Yeah. But it's funny because I didn't play anything before With a Little Love. I didn't play at Flickr because they are more like electronic.
Yeah.
I did everything on my computer, just Logic.
Yeah, word.
And then With a Little Love and Hazy Lazy Light were the first times. Actually, that's not true. Always as well. But I would go to these guys' New Beat Fund in LA, and they would basically take the tracks that I made, the project, and just doctor it up and make it sound like a million times better.
Yeah, dude. The production on all of your stuff, I will say, was very impressive. Very professional sounding.
Thank you.
Like all the way to the start from what I heard.
Thank you. Yeah.
I did a deep dive in the catalog, so I had to make sure I was ready, man.
That always makes me warm and fuzzy inside. I'm like,
got you a few
cool.
streams in there, man.
Yeah, the people are listening to it.
Yeah, man. I think I was impressed that it all sounded really professional just from the start. You know, 'cause sometimes most bands, I'd say, there's a little learning curve. You know, the first couple singles a little spacey, that kind of stuff. Mine were, you know, and then you kind of figure out your flow. But like.
Well, you didn't listen to my very first EP under a different name. If you heard that, you might be like, "Oh, all right."
So it was there. Okay, word.
Yeah.
You said which single does it start being a little more band based? Was that
So With Little Love was the first time I put out a song where I wrote everything on guitar first before I recorded it.
Okay.
And then I think the next era, I guess, quote unquote, would be this Better Than You blues song and going forward, because that was the first time I wrote these songs acoustically, brought them to a producer, and then from there we took like the seed of what it was and made it into, you know, a real big song.
Sweet.
So everything else I would record while I wrote. So I was kind of like figuring it out, whereas this one it was like, let's see what we got as a seed and see what we can do with it over the course of like 5 days.
A little more purposeful, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
And what are you looking to do going forward? Like maybe with the EP, is it all a little more, I would say like band, like Better Than You Blues sounds like a band song to me. You know what I mean? Like, is it a little more band based or acoustic or?
Well, yeah. So the new song, the new EP, right? The one that's going to come out at the end of September, It's So You, that one, all of it feels like, oh, a band played this.
Gotcha.
Right.
Sweet.
And then the next EP also definitely feels like that. There's one of the 3 songs that really, my friend said this, and I'm like, dude, you knew what I was going for. Was the Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes. Do you know that song?
I don't know if I've listened to it, but I've listened to the Shakes. I've listened to the Shakes, of course.
So that album's amazing, and the first song is Sound and Color. And that one, it's like, there's a lot of space going on, and it kind of like, it is a band, but it feels very ethereal. So I really want to take that direction. I love Bon Iver.
Yeah, me
and
too. Me too.
like Radiohead, stuff like that. So I would love to go
like Spaces, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
Sonic decoration.
Right. Because the other songs were always like the ones you mentioned earlier, like Always. Those, I guess I had a thing where I'm like, I got to fill every nook and cranny of this song to like get all these cool hooks and psychedelic sounds.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to like challenge myself to, take away as much as possible.
Yeah, it's interesting how that goes when you're young and making your first songs. Like you think you have to have a lot of stuff on there, but then you're like listening to the iconic songs, like, damn, there's nothing going on right now. You know what I mean? Or like, it's like one thing. Like your mind can only hear so much, if that makes sense.
Right.
At once,
Exactly.
That's interesting. I've been trying to do that too. Is why I mentioned that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Have you ever heard of the Stews? You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen you post about them. I've seen everybody in Athens posting about them.
They're fantastic.
And I need to check them out.
You need to check them out. We played with them on Thursday, and that was the thing I noticed about them was like, all of my songs, I'd say your songs too, are pretty lyrically driven, if that makes sense. Like verse, chorus kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have like full like 6.5 minute songs that'll have like one verse and like it's still entertaining. I'm like, damn,
interesting.
That's very, very cool. Like no chorus almost, just like the builds of the musical parts of the song or the chorus. It's very cool. I'm just interesting. You should give them a listen.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
totally.
Yeah.
What's like a good entry point?
I'd say 9-5 or Make It Out is like a softer one. Or not softer one, but like a more catchy hook one, if that makes sense. But 9-5 is like the one I'm thinking of that has pretty much 2 verses, no chorus, and the builds are like the choruses. Very cool. Very
nice.
Cool. But anyways,
9-5.
Not to get too sidetracked on that. Kind of tell me what would you consider yourself first would be my next question. Like a singer, songwriter, guitarist, actor, podcaster, any of those first? Like if you had to cut all of them off, which would you choose?
Oh God,
big question.
Tough. Yeah. Man.
Like at the core, what are you?
Ooh. Oh God, this is a therapy session right here. I guess. I mean, I love songwriting. I love taking a song from the beginning and like seeing it change over the course of over the course of multiple recording sessions.
Okay.
That to me is like the most exhilarating thing.
Yeah.
I love acting, but it's not like, it doesn't provide me that same feeling.
Immediacy, if that makes sense.
Part of that is because you don't get to like pick the roles. If you're lucky, you get picked to do something.
Yeah,
and it's like. Yeah, so it's a little different. Or at least that's been my experience. And then podcasting, I love to do, like, really, because it's cool to like do something like this, get other people's perspectives on things. So man, that'd be really tough to answer, but I'd say the thing that gives me the most joy is songwriting and taking it from point A to point B. Do you consider yourself a producer at all on that end? Because I mean, you're talking about taking songs from point A to point B. Like, how interested are you in that kind of stuff, or does it not apply? Yeah, I mean, it seems like it does. When I started, I was doing everything. Like the first EP I did, that was under a different name. I did everything, and you can tell because I hadn't done it before. So I do like looking at songs and things from a production standpoint. But what I loved about these new 2 EPs was I kind of got to be like the director of a movie where I know what I want and I know where to, or hopefully, have ideas where to take things. Okay. But I can't necessarily, or I don't necessarily have the chops musically to make all of these things happen. Which is why I like working with people. Yeah. Okay. Like, Patrick is like an engineer, so he knows how to do all those things, set up the mic, mix, do all of that. And not to mention play instruments, but Clark as well. Clark Sound, he just has this, like, what's the word? Almost like a Dr. Jekyll musical mind, where it's just all these crazy ideas are coming out at once. Yeah. So I can have him in there to come up with these crazy ideas, and then I can pick and choose, like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool, let's use that. And it's more like a director where I can just use the resources in front of me. Gotcha. As opposed to like because I can't play like a virtuoso or anything like that. Gotcha. So did you find that relieving, I guess, to have the producer role taken off you? Like you say, you're directing, you're not filming. You know what I mean? You're not producing the film. If that makes sense. Exactly. It's more it is relieving. Part of me misses that.
Yeah, it is fun sometimes.
Yeah, it is really fun to like be like, oh, I'm gonna play everything because let's see how it goes. But at the same time, it's like a little limiting because I'm limited to my ability to play it.
Exactly.
Whereas if I hear somebody like Gideon Johnson lay down this really sick beat, I'm like, well, what am I going to say no to that? Yeah, as he does. He always
does. As he does from time to time.
Yeah. And he's so great at taking direction too. So that's really important.
Yeah. That's interesting because like to a certain point, at least in my experience, like I like to do it all myself too. Like if you want something done right, do it yourself. So like here I am booking the band, managing the band, all that shit. And it's like to a certain point, it's like, all right, somebody could probably do this stuff better.
Yeah.
Like somebody can write a better drum beat than me. Like Gideon, you know what I mean? Or a better bass line. Tommy could do that any day, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like you get to a certain point where it's like, all right, you appreciate that somebody can do something better than you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like just let it go. If they come up with something, let it go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it frees up space in your mind to not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Whereas you can just focus on the ideas that are coming.
Exactly.
Instead of having to execute them perfectly.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's a good point. Good point. I try to think about this kind of stuff, but I really only think about it too hard on here. I need to just let it go more. Because, like, you get the song idea in your head, and you're like, all right, I know exactly how the fuck it should sound. Like, the drum should be just like this and fat and huge. And then somebody plays something different. It's, like, immediately, like wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you go wrong just because you already decided in your mind that it was like something. And, like, it doesn't have to be. You know? Yeah.
And that's why I've liked doing this thing now where I just write the song on a guitar and then bring it in, because if I do what I've been doing, years ago where I would do it all in Logic and like write the drum beats and whatever, if I was to take that and bring it in somewhere, changing it is only gonna be like it can't be that drastic because I'm so locked into what I've already done.
Yeah, like you kind of fall like demo-itis or like falling in love with it. Like I think it was like a John Mayer quote. He's like, he had like the Guitar to Gravity or one of those songs, and he's like, I didn't sing on it for days because I knew I'd fall in love with the first thing I sang, you know? So he's like, I thought about it for a while, and I was like, ooh, that's pretty deep. I like that.
Yeah, it's tough once you get attached to it
to
let go.
Exactly. Yeah, very interesting, man. I'm glad you've had similar experiences because I'm working on that myself. Not commit. Like, it's almost better to bring it in incomplete at this point, to me at least.
Yeah.
You know, like let them, because when you bring it in with the drums or the bass or whatever on it, they automatically assume that you want that, and it like maybe like triggers their mind to not think of something new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Bringing in like a nice blank space for people to play around with,
to
or
paint
a sandbox.
Upon. Yeah, man, I agree. That's good. Well, moving forward, was there anything you kind of learned from these two records that was like, all right, the next one I'm not going to do that, or the next one I am going to do that?
Yeah, that's funny. I asked my guest that question, so it's funny to get it from me.
Great minds.
Yeah. Well, the thing I loved about the first one, the It's So You, I mean, I loved recording to tape. I'd love to do that again.
Was it like a big 24-track tape machine, or what were we looking at?
I can't remember how many it was, but we really would only record 1 to 2 tracks at a time.
Gotcha.
Well, for the drums, he probably had like 4 mics. So there was never more than 4 inputs going into it at the same time.
Probably like
we weren't doing like a whole band, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was the whole reel to reel. But I think one thing I learned about what I like is it's really fun when you make it an event in a way.
Okay.
Like I went up to Philadelphia for 5 days to record this.
Gotcha.
With a guy I'd never met in person.
That's wild. I like that.
And so it was like this risk, and then I got there and I'm like, what am I doing? Was this the right move? You're questioning yourself. And then at the end I was so pumped about it, and coming to Athens too, like it was fun to make it an event. Like I'm going to Athens today to do this thing, as opposed to what I've been doing before. A couple of years ago, I was just in my room, and at any point of the day or night, I could start the session or end it, as opposed to, all right, like we're in the studio. Yeah. It feels more like
we have
a
nothing else
thing
to think about today. This is it.
Yeah. And I think every time I do something, I learn the lesson again of like, don't be afraid to like really say what you want, because it's easy when you do have people who are like really good at what they do to just kind of say, oh yeah, that's cool, and let them move on. But at the same time, it's really helpful to, if you have that intuition of like, no, let's try this.
Let's
really,
hash on it.
Really go for it. But at the same time, don't be attached, because you might try it and maybe you realize, oh, this doesn't sound as good as I wanted to, but you don't want to let the ego come in and be like, oh, but it was my idea, so I should stick to it.
Yeah, like you want to be right about it almost sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. That's cool. I think to make it an event, that's something we shouldn't breeze over. That's pretty cool, because like I think that's the problem. Like when you have your own home studio almost, or like, you know, like an interface. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like you have all the time, so there's no initiative to actually do it, if that makes sense. Same kind of thing when bands like rent out a studio for a year. They're going to use the whole year. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't get in there and like actually get it done, if that makes sense. And making it an event is a really cool way to put it, because like it is an event. You know, it should be cool. It should be like, oh, we're going to the studio today. I got not shit else to do today.
Right.
But make sure we get these songs, you know?
Yeah, because you're like stoked about going, and you like there's this energy to it. Whereas if there's a, you know, obviously it's nice to have access to a studio at all times.
Fantastic.
But at the same time, it's like not, you kind of maybe lose a little bit of that.
I agree.
Specialness.
That sauce, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm almost scared to have a home studio completely, you know, because it would, I don't know, I just feel like it'd be too much access almost. Like you say, not an event, you know, you're just going into your back room to record.
Exactly.
But I'm sure it has its perks. Tommy could tell us, I'm sure.
Tommy's probably like, you guys are crazy.
He's like, you guys
like,
are idiots,
it's sweet
man.
having this,
yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Because you don't have to pay for time.
That's a good point. That's another thing I've struggled with. It's like the time thing. It's like, all right, should we, it's like, I want to go in there and get shit done. Like I want to have them ready when we get in there, if that makes sense. But also that leads to like the attachment that we're talking about. It's like when the song's done and it's road tested, we've been playing it, we get in there and I'm not going to change anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, but everybody else in the band wants to experiment something. It's like, bro, we're fucking spending $50 an hour. What are you talking about experimenting? Like it should be experimented already. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's another thing I've been thinking about, is like, is it worth it to get like a lot of days in the studio? And like, if you waste the money, you waste the money, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of, now that you say that, that is something I'd like to do next time, is
get more days?
Is maybe get more days, but maybe practice with a band first.
Yeah.
Get these songs, like, how do you play these live? And then have that, go in and record it like that. And then experiment from there.
Yeah, like, it's interesting.
Because everything I did was just one acoustic guitar and vocal.
Gotcha.
And then figuring it out from there. But it'd be kind of cool to like start from a band and then maybe reduce or figure out different ways to go about a certain way.
I think that's a great way to do it, man. That's what we've been trying to do, is like road test it, is what I call them. Like you go and play it, and like sometimes things will become very apparent. Like if heads are bobbing at the start and then they like slowly like stop, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, this is too long, or all right, this bridge is unnecessary. Or, you know, like it just, certain things become like, all right, this is not, you know what I mean? So like maybe it wouldn't hurt to, I mean, even just learn them with the band and try them at some shows. And like if it slams, you're like, all right, that's it, you know. Or if it feels like towards the end, it's like, all right, this is dragging on, or oh, this is too slow, too fast, you know. Like I think that's a good way to do it.
Have there been any tunes of your own where as soon as this show's over, you're like, yo, we got to change that one part?
Almost every song we do, right? Yeah, it's like, bro, like no, it's like it makes it very apparent, you know. You could just watch, like you got to watch the people while you're doing it though, but like certain things will feel good or not good, you know.
Right.
That'd be something I'd try if I was you. Very cool.
Yes.
Then again though, like you're not necessarily a band entity, are you?
No,
you're very much solo, right?
Yeah. So I write everything by myself.
Yeah. So kind of a different thing, I guess. Like nobody's gonna care, you know, like crucify you if you're like, oh, it's not a band song, you know what I mean? So you can do what you want.
It would be sick though. Like,
yeah,
I look at Hefner and I'm like, that's cool that they all get to like get together and write together. Yeah, you know what I mean?
They're so fucking good, dude. It's unbelievable.
They're amazing. Their new album, Perfect Heaven, I listen to all the time.
They messaged me the other day because we talked about, they've been on the show too. They were like, we want to come in and we want to listen to the album on the show and talk about each song. I was like, fucking come on, bro. That'd be sick, bro.
Dude, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I was messaging them because that record sounds so good. I was like, damn, dude, who produced that? I figured they'd said Tommy, but it was, I think he said Nate Nelson. You ever heard of him?
Oh, yeah.
Out of Tweed. So I'm kind of up in the air right now between using Tommy or Nate. I'm talking to both of them. They're pretty cool guys, you know?
Dude, yeah. I've not met Nate yet,
I
but
haven't
I've
either.
heard amazing things.
That's why I'm kind of biased towards Tommy, because I know Tommy. I like Tommy.
Right,
And I
yeah.
like Tommy's stuff. Like all his solo records sound amazing.
That's how I found about you. He told me
Really?
about you. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you,
he was
Tommy.
like, there's another dude who plays music and also has a podcast. And I was like, what? No way. And he was
Took
like,
my idea.
yeah, exactly. But no, that's it was like meant to be. I was like, oh, and then I just realized that you actually did an interview with him.
I did. Way back, man. Way back.
I
Yeah.
was listening to the Hefner one today, and I found, and then before that, I listened to the Corduroy Blue
Classic,
that you
yeah.
just put out.
Yeah, they're from Atlanta. Do you know them? You ever
Yeah,
heard
I
of them?
met
Atticus?
Atticus
Atticus,
a
nice
few
guy.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then like a week after y'all put that episode
Word,
out, I was
word.
like, oh shit, nice.
Yeah, they're super cool guys. I was really impressed with their whole brand and everything.
I know, and they're so young.
They are, man. They're talented guys, man.
It
I'm
makes me
excited to
feel
see what
so
they do.
old.
Yeah, man, me too, dude. What was I gonna say about that? I was gonna ask. What was I gonna ask? Fuck. I was gonna ask about that. I was gonna segue that into the podcast. What I was gonna do. So tell me before we get too deep into this. Let's see how far we are. We're 37 minutes. We're doing great.
Oh,
doing great.
perfect.
Tell me a little bit on that note podcast. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
How did that start? What was your ambition? That kind
It
of
was
stuff.
over the pandemic,
Nice,
and
nice.
it was a little more than 2 years now. It was I think August 15th ish.
Yeah.
Is like the yearly mark, and so I mean, really, I just started it because I was bored. And
Exactly what you mean.
yeah, right.
I
yeah.
know exactly what you mean, brother.
I was like, I had talked about it with a friend of mine. His name's Ethan Ardelin. Everybody check him out. Rest in peace. He's like one of my closest friends, and he was telling me that, well, we wanted to do an interview. I wanted to do it kind of like this, but in like my backyard.
Okay.
And then the pandemic happened, and we're like, probably can't meet in person.
Probably frowned upon.
Yeah, so even then it was like a couple months later. I'm like, I still want to do that. So I did it over Zoom.
Okay.
And he just recorded his end. I recorded my end.
Nice.
And then I was like, oh, that was not as hard to do logistically because I wasn't sure how that would work. Okay. And I wanted to like do it with him first so that if I messed it up, it was like no big deal because he's a close friend.
Word.
But it worked out, and then I ended up interviewing a couple other friends, and I was like, I'm gonna do 3 a week, which was insane.
That's a lot.
It was insane,
It's
but
a shit ton.
I ended up doing 2 a week for
That's
like
impressive.
almost a year.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was like continued to do it was the 4th person I interviewed was this guy Kid Hastings, who I was a genuine fan of, who I didn't know him.
Yeah.
And I just reached out to him on Instagram, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, oh, wow, that was easy. Like, all I have to do is ask, and people are probably down, especially during the pandemic. Nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
So it's easy, like...
Pretty much all artists are dying for some press, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Or a good conversation, you know?
Right. So, I mean, I did it like twice a week for almost a year, and then I'm like, this is unsustainable. Like, it's just,
That's a lot.
it's
That's a
too
lot.
much.
Yeah.
So now it's once a week, and but I
What
love
episode
it.
are you on? 100?
The one that just came out, Boro, is 122.
Whew, good for you, man. That's a lot. People don't
Thank
really understand. I mean, it's like anything, you know, you think that gigging is easy work, you know, or whatever. It's like when you have to edit these things, it's a shit ton of work. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, do the editing, and you run into every problem there is
for
after
sure, bro.
122 episodes.
Yeah, latency, losing audio, losing video, losing everything, you know.
There's one where I always have to make sure that my vocals aren't coming out of their speaker, even if they had headphones, because then
gotcha.
like the lag of my voice comes through, and
will
it's
pretty
like,
much ruin it.
literally impossible to edit it out. Like,
I had an episode with Beskin. It was a great one too. I wish I could have posted it. I used like a mixer for the first time, and like I don't know why everything was coming through fine, and the headphones and everything got to the end, and like Drew's voice was like, just so quiet, and I was like, damn, Drew was like the main talker in that whole episode, and then it ended up just like not working out with the show he needed to promote, that kind of stuff. But like, you know what I mean, like little shit like that. And like, how long do you spend editing each episode? I know you've gotten better, but like maybe at the start.
Oh, it depends, because I used to be really picky about if there was a 2-second pause. I'm like, I gotta cut it.
Ooh, yeah. I
And
used to do
now,
that.
like, I'm like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like, people will get through it. I promise.
Exactly.
So little things like that, I don't really worry about as much anymore.
Yeah.
The last one I did was Burrow, and that was a little more of a challenge because I had 3 different people in different places,
Ooh, I bet,
all with their own audio. And like for me, I live right next to the train track, so like
Gotcha.
for everyone, I have to like cut down the volume when they're not speaking, which is like
I bet that sucks, man.
Yeah, I
Does
mean it gets tedious, you know.
Yeah.
And and one of them, he had the when your fire alarm beeps because it's out of battery.
Yeah.
It was going the whole time.
No way, bro.
Yeah. Sorry to bring that up.
No, it's the stuff
but
that the only the host hears.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, I had David Barbie in here. Do you know David Barbie?
No, you were just.
I mentioned him. I mentioned him. Anyways, he did a great episode with him yesterday. Like 25 minutes in, like I had this door open, and I was like, "Damn, my fucking dryer is running," and there's a coin in there, like bouncing around. I was like, "Oh my god, how did I not hear that until now?" You know?
Yeah, you just can't like that shit's gonna happen. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can do your best to edit it out, but
do most of your guests use mics? Because I had some mic issues at the start. Not really. They just use a computer.
It depends. I always tell them, hey, like to me, my philosophy of it is this is their interview, and however prepared or ill prepared they want to be is up to them. So if they want to, like, I suggest, hey, if you have a microphone in DAW, like it's gonna sound much better if you use that during the interview. You can also use voice memos on your iPhone.
That's huge.
That sounds better.
Yeah.
Because it all sounds better than Zoom audio.
Yeah, Zoom's got that lag,
It has the lag, and it also can be like the
like
this
crunchy
like,
almost.
that crunchy sound.
Yeah.
And if it happens if you have bad Wi-Fi and like you can't fix that. So it's up to me, it's up to the guest, but I tell them ahead of time, like, this is what, if you want to make it sound the best, this is what you should do. And they pretty much all make it happen.
Do it pretty good.
They want to sound, they want it to sound professional.
Have you had any trouble with the Zoom ones? I've only done maybe 2 Zoom ones. I've tried to avoid them just because I have such a great studio. You can see what I mean?
This is awesome.
Thank you, man. But like, has it been like they're a little more awkward? You know what I mean? Like you can't really get the flow of, well, you can, but it's like this is easier to flow. You get what I mean?
Well, up until recently, like when I did Sweaty Palms podcast, shout
out Sweaty Palms. She's the other. See, this is the trifecta.
I guess so. It's the holy trinity of Athens artist interview podcast.
I love it.
But between her and doing this right now, this is like the only in-person interviews I've ever done. They've all been on Zoom.
Interesting.
So I'm so used to that now that they don't feel awkward to me. Like,
interesting. Okay.
Obviously, some people are a little more awkward on the Zoom, and like you just have to work with that,
ride with it,
because like what are you gonna do? You can't like
unawkward something.
And usually they open up after like 5-10 minutes, because some people are just awkward in general, and some people are more awkward when they're talking about themselves.
Gotcha.
It's like
it is a weird thing. You get some guests in who don't really want to talk very much sometimes, or like usually when you get a band is what I've experienced. Like one of them won't want to say much, and it's like that's like the worst thing you could do on a podcast is not talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like hide. Like
you just say like 3-word answers. That I had one like that recently, and like. You just gotta take the reins a little bit and say like, all right, well, this is what we're gonna talk about. And like some people you don't have to at all. You'll say 3 words and then they go on for 5 minutes.
Forever,
Like, all right, cool.
I love that. Yeah, man. I'm glad you've had some similar experiences. I respect the podcast game. And 120 is a fucking accomplishment, man. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'd say that like 99.99% of podcasts don't make it to 100 episodes. So
yeah. Well, my dad, when I started this, he was like, I was reading that the average podcast, and like out of all of them, they usually only do like 7 episodes. So I was like, well, I got to make it to 7 at
least.
Let's
go to 8.
Yeah. Let's do 8. And now, 122 later, I'm like, all right, this is nice.
Good for you, man. Have you done any ads on yours? Do any ad stuff?
I had a sponsor recently, but they had to back out just because it wasn't like doing the numbers they were hoping. But if anybody around here wants to,
I'll put you in touch with some guys. I've got some sponsors. I need to thank them right now. We're 45 minutes in. I need to thank them if that's cool.
Give them the shout out.
Shout out to my show sponsor for today. Today, the only show sponsor is Clark's Collective, a wonderful bar downtown Athens. You been there yet?
Not
There
yet.
were some great shows. I got Wim Tapley tonight. They had like, Drew Young Thomas canceled on Wednesday. Had something come up, but they literally rebranded themselves from like just a bar into like a music bar, and they're killing it, man. They're great. They're wonderful. They've been with the show since a few months ago. I love those guys. They gave us a tab after our Georgia Theater show. They're wonderful. But anyways, thank you, Clark's Collective. Appreciate you very much. Continuing on, what is your goal kind of for the podcast? Like when you started it, what was the plan? Or even what's the plan now? You know what I mean? Like just keep knocking artists out or bigger artists, like keep going. What's the plan?
Yeah, I think right now, sponsors would be great just to like add some extra income.
Sustainability.
And what's good about now being in Athens is like reaching out to Athens-based potential sponsors. I feel like would make more sense just because I want to do more in-person interviews with people from Athens, which means more people from Athens will listen to those so they actually know these places. So that would be ideal like for a short-term goal.
Yeah, no, that's a great goal. That's smart too.
Yeah, the ideal, like the biggest possible reach for me would be like to be something like Zane Lowe.
Yeah, I love Zane, dude. Zane's fantastic.
He's just very well spoken.
Very
somewhere
great
between
vibe.
Like Zane Lowe and Rick Rubin would be sick.
Sick, dude.
His podcast is great.
Fantastic podcast, dude. Fantastic.
He just asks really cool, interesting questions.
He's a little more deep, so I get what you mean about like the mix between the two. Because Zane's questions could be deep, but like still pretty surface level.
Yeah,
but like he has a great voice.
Somewhere in between, because I don't think. Like Zane's great because he is I think he's a good interviewer, but I don't know how much he talks about like the specifics of like the creative process.
Gotcha.
Whereas that's like Rick Rubin's
whole sauce.
Main thing. Yeah.
A mix between the two. That's a really good way to put it, man. Those are probably two of the best music. Probably the two best music interviewers. That's
There's
great.
also a guy my buddy Ash turned me on to called Tape Notes.
I've heard of Tape Notes. Yeah,
Tape Notes
I follow.
Is cool
because they'll do like in the bio of whatever they've done, it'll be like all the gear used by the artist. You know what I mean? Like it'll be like they interviewed the Chainsmokers. It'll be like here are the plugins they use for this, and like it's pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
You should follow them on Spotify. Let me show you what I'm talking about right quick if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Tape Notes is a cool podcast, a bigger one everybody should check
listened
out.
to one with the 1975.
Oh, I bet that was great, dude. I'm just getting into them really deep. I like their new music.
Dude, they're awesome.
They're fantastic, dude. Look at this. Okay. So yada, 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 intro music, link to everything. And then they'll have their gear mentions. That's what they call it. They have like everything that they use in there. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that's so handy.
Yeah, dude. Nifty.
And they don't have to do that.
They don't, man. And it's got like all these big artists on here. I'll have to listen to 1975. I bet that one is great.
It's cool, yeah, because they take they'll like take demos of the songs and like go through the tracks, like the individual tracks, and talk about why they liked that or why they're pushing for this. You know what I mean? They'll show like the finished version versus the demo, which is just, I think that shit's really interesting.
I think so too, man. What do you do with the videos on your podcast? Do you just put them on YouTube or
you
film all of them?
YouTube? Yeah, because it's all on Zoom, so all I have to do is record the
You're doing
video.
it anyways, yeah.
Right.
I think the video element is super important, man. What have you thought so far about like the listeners on your video versus listeners without?
Okay, I think more people certainly listen to it.
Same.
I love watching them, depending on who it is. I think it's really cool to like watch the body language and stuff like that. The thing is, my first setup ever I thought was the best visually because I would sit like right in the middle, and then on either side of me there was a shelf that I could put vinyl albums behind me.
I like that.
So depending on the artist, I would like guess what I thought they might like. So I'd put both of them up
Talking
there.
point.
Yeah, and then sometimes they'd bring it up and then we'd start talking about it. That was my favorite, but my last two setups haven't really been like, one was just a backdrop and that's not as interesting. And then depending on the other person, because it's Zoom, their backdrop might not be anything interesting. Or sometimes they're in the middle of their studio and they like make it look cool.
Looks great.
Which is always really fun to see.
Interesting. I've thought about this setup a lot too, because like honestly, this setup here is not the best because like I'm facing you, but you have to face that way. Like I should be facing this way.
I feel like I want to talk shit right now.
Oh, that's good. That's kind of how it should feel, I guess, right? Like I don't mind.
This is what I want. Like I'm going for this.
Sweet, man. I'm glad to hear that. I think you're doing a good job, man. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at the list and I didn't know many of the artists you did. Where are they? Mostly Atlanta?
No, well, because it's Zoom, they're all over the world. Like
that makes sense.
That's what I love about Zoom is that I've interviewed a girl from Sweden, Norway. I forgot. But yeah, there's been people from England. There's been people from New York, Nashville.
That's awesome.
Atlanta.
See, I didn't know many of the names, and I was like, I was like, I don't know where because like a very strong part of this podcast is that it's the Athens music podcast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's been pretty much nobody from anywhere other than unless they were in town playing, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
which is great because
you.
like you have like a stronghold on the Athens community.
For sure. Well, it's interesting though, because like to a certain point, I'm 100 episodes in, I'm running out of bands and stuff, if that makes sense. Like there's plenty of artists here, but as I'm sure you are the same way, it's like if somebody's not putting out music, somebody's not playing gigs, like I would love to have you and all, but like what are we going to talk about? To a certain extent, you know, like I've asked to like, so like when did you start playing music? You know, like when did you guys become a band kind of stuff? And I'm kind of over the having bands that have played 3 shows on. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of expired on that.
Well, you're having one that's only played one right now.
But you got stuff going on. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's completely difference between being a band and not playing any shows, and you being an actor, podcaster, musician with tunes coming out, 2 EPs on the rack. You know what I mean?
No, I appreciate you having me on.
No, dude, it was no problem. It's just I just wondered how you had felt. Has there been any like style of guests where you're like, all right, I'm kind of over this, if that makes sense? Maybe not. Maybe I'm being selfish.
No. I know what you mean. I used to be more like in the beginning. Anybody who emailed me or hit me up, I was like, oh my god, like they want to come on the show, so I'd have them on.
Yeah,
but
me
now
too.
it's like I get some of those emails. I'm like, I have no idea who you are, and like this tune's not very good, and like I don't want to just have somebody on.
That's how I feel. It's weird though, isn't it? Because it's like you should just like be happy that they want to be on, but then like they hit you up in a very like we need press sort of way.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's weird to get like something from a manager who's never talked to you, and it's like clearly sent to everyone.
Yes, it's like they're trying to do their press round right now for their single. Do you get what I'm saying?
And part of me is like grateful that I'm even considered somebody that they would want to like reach out to.
Absolutely.
But it does feel a little less personal. But you know,
I get exactly what you mean, man. I almost let like I hate to say ego get in the way for me, but it was like there was a little period in the past couple months where like any person that reached out was almost like a knee jerk, like, oh god, yeah. Like you know what I'm saying? Like like they just need something. You know, like I had all the and like I don't know how to describe it. It sounds like I'm being a jerk, but like I had everything to give and they had everything to gain with like with nothing to offer. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like when you do them, the thing that's most annoying to me is when I do them and like do all the work and then they don't share it to their story or something.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, all right. I'm like, fuck this. You know what I mean?
I was just about to say. That reminded me of, so because I can do it on Zoom, like I can reach out to really anyone.
Yeah.
So there have been times where I reach out to somebody that's a little bit like I would think is harder to get, at least for me.
Okay.
And then they surprise me and then they're like, yeah, I'll come on the show. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like personally fulfilled, but then my ego like hurts when they don't even like the Instagram post. They don't even share it once.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, what? And then I have people on who are smaller and like, you know, the average person would just have no idea who they are. And they're going hard. Like
they usually gas
people,
it.
because they want people to see it. And like,
exactly.
I love that more. That makes me feel better to know that that person's stoked on it, as opposed to the person who thinks like I did that guy a favor by coming on this show.
Oh my god, dude! When even worse to me is when they like the post and don't share it. It's like, bro, I put hours into that. You know what I mean? Like I spent so much time on that, the thumbnail, the clips, everything, and you're not even gonna share it. But then again, you know, that might be ego as well. Just
it probably
might be, you know, thinking they owe us something, but they don't.
Yeah.
I don't have many podcast friends talk about this with, so I'm glad you felt something similar, you know, even though it's not that great of a feeling. But
it is relatable.
It is relatable. You get what I'm saying? I respect that, dude. Well,
I did have a couple. I know we probably need to wrap it up.
Dude, no. You got time. Go ahead.
I just had a couple questions for you.
Oh shit! Send it, brother. Send it.
Your tour schedule is pretty crazy.
Thank you so much, man.
So
Appreciate
I'm just
that.
wondering what your experience has been on tour now, but in general, what have you learned from touring so much, and like what, as somebody who has played very few shows, what advice would you give somebody like me?
Okay, that's a great question. Are you interested in touring? Like,
I would
you like
certainly
to?
like to play
One
more
day?
shows around here.
Yeah. Touring is probably my main area of expertise, if that makes sense. Like I probably booked
Yeah.
150-ish shows for us. This tour has been very interesting for us because it's been a blast so far, but very different than our second tour, which was last semester, in the way of like we're on a third tour now, and
Right.
very like SEC, like tri-state tours. You know, like the highest we go is Virginia, farthest left we've been is Mississippi, which is a pretty good little stretch. But we're to the point where it's like, all right, we can't keep touring like this. You know, like we've gotta make a change into touring better. You know, like we're making more money than we've ever made, but we're not playing the most beneficial shows to our music. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So my advice to somebody like you that wants to start touring is start fucking playing anywhere in the state that'll book you, would be my first. You know, you got Atlanta contacts. That means you can do Smith's Old Bar. You can do 529. You can do Athens. I mean, pretty much Athens bands, when they're starting out, they do Athens once every 2 weeks, you know?
Right.
Just start playing, and it'll start, like, if you can play with other bands, that's huge because they'll get you on other shows if they like you, of course, you know? It's like basic, like that's basic ask advice, but start playing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's what I try to tell people, because if you're making music and not touring, you're kind of like, you know, well, unless you're like really into like the building an online buzz, which it seems like you're pretty good at, you're kind of just like waiting for it to happen. You know what I mean? And I can't imagine that it will unless you're just like a very, very lucky individual, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you're still just putting music out to people that know you. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah. So that's the thing that I've tried to figure out, and I've now kind of been learning is because I didn't play a lot of shows, I wasn't meeting people, like they weren't seeing me and like being like, oh, this is cool, let me listen to him later.
Yeah.
I was promoting everything to people that already knew me.
Exactly, yeah.
And that you kind of hit a ceiling. And then I did this one show with Ash the week before the Flickr show, and he put it on just at like an event space, and it was something really chill but really fun. There was only like 30 people there total.
That's sick.
But it was very intimate, and like all of a sudden, like, you know, 15 people followed me. Like I saw like a small spike in streams, but I'm like, that wouldn't have happened
without
if I didn't play this show. And I'm like, if you multiply that by like, you know, 50 in a year,
in different cities, you know,
exactly,
get in front of some big crowds here, small crowd there, an engaged crowd. You know, I had some buddies in a really great band in town. The Angelics, you ever heard of them?
I haven't. No,
they're a newer band. My drummer plays in this band as well. I'm excited about them because they have good tunes. But he was talking about, or they mentioned that they would rather like craft up a lot of originals to like get an online buzz about, or maybe this was somebody else I'm thinking of. But anyways, they were saying that they were going to craft a bunch of originals to put out before they started touring, if that makes sense. And I get that, but it's like, at the same time, who are you putting them out to? Do you get what I mean? Like, if you've only got fans in Athens, the 200 people that have seen you play twice, it's like, all right, who are you putting it out to, you know? And that being said, I don't have a ton of monthly listeners or anything. Like, I don't kill on Spotify, and we tour, but like we have fans in those little cities, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a catch-22.
It is.
Where if you play all these shows and you don't have anything out, nobody can go and listen to it.
Good point.
But if you have a bunch of tunes that are on Spotify, they don't play anywhere. It's not gonna. You're not gonna get any new fans.
Exactly.
Probably.
And we've been trying to, like, it's a good question from you on the touring thing, because we've been trying to tour smarter. We took a weird approach of like, we do a lot of cover gigs to like fund the touring, if that makes sense. Like, we're extremely profitable with that. Extremely is a stretch, but profitable is a W.
Yeah.
And like at the same time, like that led to us having fans of our live show that didn't care about our music. Do you get what I mean? Because like they're like, oh, these guys are sick. They can play Mr. Brightside. You know what I mean? It's like, so we had a lot of fans like that, and when we put music out, it didn't stream that well. But like out of those big crowd, we were making some real fans. You know what I mean? So I don't know. If my advice to you would just be play little shows. Like, don't be afraid to play to 30 people. Like, don't even worry about the big numbers, because I played to the big numbers, and I mean like 700, you know, it's not that crazy. And like 700 people unengaged is not as beneficial as 30 people at Flickr engaged.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Wow, that's a great quote right there.
Yeah, should mic drop that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clip that.
yeah, clip that. That's great.
You know what I mean though? Because like 30 people who were like fucking with you, like there's nothing else going on in that room, but everybody in there listening to you, thinking, damn, these are cool songs. I'm gonna check them out after. Is way better than 700 people who are just hammered like after a football game,
just laughing
they're
with
just
each other
sick,
and not
dude.
listening,
like holding their beer cans up, like, yo, this is wicked, man. You know, sex on fire, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, and don't get me wrong, we built a lot of our fan base like that. I love playing football stuff, big crowd stuff like that. It's just that's a recent realization of mine. Is 30 people in Flickr is better than 700 unengaged, man.
That's a good point.
It's a good point.
But I mean, you know, still you might get a bunch of fans from those.
That's true.
700.
We have.
Yeah.
I mean, like after some 700 shows, you got 50 new followers. It's like, all right, we made some fans. You know.
Yeah, totally.
They fuck with us enough to follow. That's a W. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting, man. Touring is like. It'll leave you disillusioned if you do it wrong. You know what I mean? Because at the same time, you could drive all the way to Oxford, Mississippi and play for 30 people. And it's like, damn, that sucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like we could have played at home to 75 and done better than that, you know? But like if you never go out there and get on it, you know, you'll just never
right.
Know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
One day, hopefully, I'll do like an actual tour. Right now, I'm just trying to book things around.
It's not that hard, man. Like it's really like you can book Athens, Atlanta, Augusta, Savannah, and call it a tour if you'd like. You know, a lot of people do the 4-day run kind of thing, and it wouldn't be hard for you to team up with 2 bands and make that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just kind of hone your crafts a little bit, play in Athens as much as you can. Take any gigs you can get and fire away.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice. I don't know anything.
No, that's great advice. Thank you for imparting the wisdom.
Thank you, man. Thank you for a good question. Did you have any others? Well, I got some more stuff for you in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to leave quite yet, do you? What time do you need to leave?
No, I mean 2:15-ish.
Oh, we got time.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I have a couple questions I always ask my guests on the show for the
I
last
wanna hear
5.
it.
So I just wanted to give a couple just to get your
I'll answer them
get your
briefly.
response. One is what are you listening to right now?
Ooh, right now I've been listening to a lot of the Stews,
Okay.
which is the band played with on
That's right.
Thursday from out of Auburn. Wonderful band. Y'all check them out. I've listened to Catfish and the Bottlemen. You ever heard of them?
Yeah, I've never
They're really
really
cool.
Is
Really
that
cool.
all their albums are black with
Yes.
like a white drawing?
Yes,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of cool, but like you could do a different one eventually. You know, like they're 4
Yeah,
albums.
At some point, break the cycle.
Yeah, they actually just broke up, so no more albums from them. But they're like a very like British rock kind of thing. This modern, and I'm just like very little going on, but still sounds great. I'm very interested in them, and also Hefner, dude. I listen to a lot of Hefner,
shout
dude.
out.
That new album's really good.
I listen to it all the time.
It's great. It's
Dude,
great.
what's your favorite track? It's hard to pick.
It's hard to pick. I don't even know all the names because I just shuffle it. I like the one where I think it was this single where it's like, I took my car 195
tough
just to
questions.
be by my fucking self. I love that one, dude.
The music video is
I haven't
sick.
seen it.
And they recorded most of it at my house.
Really? At Tommy's?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
See, I thought there's the thing about Hefner that would be exempt from my whole theory I just threw down. I don't think they've toured at all, really. I think they've done like Savannah and Columbia maybe, and like just Athens shows, and they have a ton of listeners.
Yeah.
Like they're doing a great job, you know. So
they
I
got
don't
the
know.
secret sauce.
But they've got the brand down. I think they're all a little older, if I'm not mistaken. They're all like 27,
Something like
29-ish,
that, yeah.
and like they've been in some big bands, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of found a way to like build this brand around a new exciting band, and then have an audience for it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I saw them at Trash Fest, and
I bet that was
they
great.
rocked.
Last week or 2 weeks ago?
I think it might have been 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Who you been listening to?
So let me pull out the Spotify.
Tell me, man. Tell me.
Well, we had a brief conversation about the new Arctic Monkeys single.
With me and you?
I think, right?
I
we talking
fucking
about,
love it, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Dude, it's great. It's
That's
like
been on repeat.
That was us. We DM'd about it. We
Yeah,
DM'd
yeah,
about it. It's like Space, the Tranquility album, but like not
But
weird.
better.
Yeah, I like the Tranquility stuff, like, but
Yeah.
it's like that, but with pop potential. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
It's like
Very
they took that, they heard because some people didn't really like it at all.
Oh, a lot of people did.
Yeah. But I was so glad that they just took it and like polished it a little bit more.
Yeah, they like it just sounds like it's got potential. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
album could be incredible. You know.
And the music video is great.
But I also respect the Hotel album just because like they picked a concept and they ran with it.
That's
you know what I
true.
mean? Like they finished it and like it's all on brand. I like that.
Yeah, they
about it.
really went for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So that one, I've been listening to DJO.
DJ, I don't listen to him now.
Do you know Stranger Things?
Yeah, I love Stranger Things.
So Joe Keery from Stranger Things.
Yeah, the Steve.
Yeah.
Right?
So he has a group called
Yeah.
DJO.
Is that the name of it? Don't they
Yeah.
have like very psychedelic like?
Yeah, this is the guy.
Interesting. So he's in that group?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly him.
Yeah.
Like, I think the band is just like his backing band.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's DJO or Joe, because I've heard both.
Heard both? Okay.
But he put out 3 songs that are coming out, or that are out.
Yeah.
Singles for a new album, and those 3 are insane. Like,
Really?
definitely highly recommend those.
We'll check that out. DJO.
Alex G just put out a new song today,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. I saw him here.
What venue?
Live. What was it?
George Theater?
40 Watt.
40 Watt. Word.
Yeah,
Word.
and he's coming again to Atlanta, but it's sold out, which I'm bummed about.
Man.
Yeah, and then Steve Lacy's Gemini Rights album.
Steve Lacy. I don't think I've ever listened to him.
Dude, he's very very funky, groovy. You might know a song or two that he's like put out in the past, but yeah, that one's great. The album cover's really cool.
Sweet.
I'll leave it at that.
I like it.
Those are what I'm listening to.
I'll check
now.
it out, man.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Interesting. I wanted to ask you, like, what is where are you hoping to be in the next year or two with your music? This is a question I like to ask in a lot of episodes. Like, where are you trying to get into, like, 1 to 3 year range? Like, what is the goal for this upcoming? Like, what are you trying to do here?
I'd love to be playing more shows.
Okay.
Like, a tour would be great.
Yeah.
A small one, at least. Like, if we're talking year, because it's hard to think about 3 years.
Yeah,
down
that's a
the
big
road.
grasp. Big grasp.
But 1 year down the road, it would be amazing to be playing shows, have like a solid fan base here in Athens, so that I could play places like the George Theater rooftop, the 40 Watt.
Yeah.
Drew was saying that, because he does, what's it called, Athfest.
Yeah,
So
he
that
does.
would be really sick.
It's
to
a great
do that
opportunity.
next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that was kind of the goal, to like establish myself enough over the next year so that I can play Athfest.
Sweet.
And it wouldn't be like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah,
You know what I
dude,
mean?
I'm sure you could do that this summer. That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, just like Flickr's a great start. Any kind of, how long can you play?
So right now I have 9 originals that are in the set.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
you're on par to do 40 Watt this semester if you want to. I'm sure you can
Yeah,
line
that would
up.
be
Yeah.
sick. I wanted to do a cover of Pump It Up by Elvis Costello
Yeah.
to end the whole thing. But I was like, we need to get everything else tight before
I feel that,
we can learn a whole new cover.
Gotcha.
So maybe next time. That
Yeah,
would be
for
the
sure,
goal.
man. Well, yeah, dude, I think you're well on your way. I think Flickr shows are a great start. I mean, you played with two of the better bands in town, I think, like Ant Moth and Jacob Mallow seem to be killing it.
Yeah.
Jacob's a great songwriter, dude.
Dude, he's awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah, and he played solo, so it was really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Just
like,
piano?
he had piano. He did some guitar, loop pedal stuff.
Interesting.
And his voice is awesome.
Yeah, he's talented. I hear good things about Ant Moth, too. I haven't seen him yet, but my buddy Vic plays drums in that band, so that's cool.
Yeah, they were killer. They're
heavy, right?
They were heavy. Yeah,
Oh, love that.
It was
love
cool
that.
because Jacob Mallows, more softer,
Yeah.
like indie, and then Ant Moth comes in and they're like, tearing the
it
house
down.
down, and then I come in with like more of a rockabilly Americana. So it was like kind of all over the place.
That's a very Flickr bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Flickr, they don't give a fuck what genre you are. Just come play, which I like. Which I like.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. So one year touring, playing Athfest, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would love to maybe have another EP or like maybe a full album after the second EP comes out.
Be sick.
It would be great to do it with Tommy, especially because he's just my roommate. You can just walk over.
I'm headed in the studio.
Yeah, walk next door and go chill with him. He's just he's very, very talented. It would be cool to do something with
His
him.
sonics are fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
So good. So good. You have a favorite Tommy Trotwin song? Well Kept?
Dude, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Top 3 are going to be
Here we go.
Hammerhead, Corvette.
Nice.
I don't know if it's I go back and forth between that being my favorite and Punches being my favorite.
I like Punches, yeah.
Punches is epic.
Yeah,
and
it's a slept on one a little bit.
Yeah.
A little
and
deep cut.
I love Oh Charisse.
Oh,
as
Charisse is a
well.
great song. That song's so damn catchy, bro. The guitars in it.
The guitar is sick.
Yeah, the guitars sound crazy good, clean,
It
overdrive.
sounds great live.
Yeah, I wanted to see him on the rooftop, but I was fucking running sound, man. Did you go to their rooftop show?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, they killed it.
I believe it. They always sound good. I think my top 3. Damn, that's tough. I'd probably go Hammerhead Corvette number 1 because that song's just cool. Like the whole vibe, the whole like trash can snare thing they got going on, sample. I'd probably put Oh Sharice, number 2, Good Thoughts, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just like Good Thoughts because that was the first one he put out. And I was like, this is great. Yeah,
I haven't gone like the deep dive into his. I listened to his first album once, but I listened to The Inquirer so many times.
See, I'm the other way around. I think I was deeper on the first album, and then I lost touch with him kind of, and wasn't listening very much, or like I just fell out of the spirit. I'm ready for some new Elijah music. Is Elijah putting music out?
Yeah. Well, I don't know actually if he has new tunes coming out. I know he's playing a show tonight.
Where at?
The Georgia Theater rooftop at like 11.
I hate it when I miss it.
It's like 11 p.m.
What?
It's weird. It's free. I think,
oh, so somebody's playing downstairs.
I guess
that's how they do it. Somebody plays downstairs and then the rooftop guys start after. Yeah, so that's a good gig. It must be somebody good. It's probably like Perpetual Groove or something.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I wish I could go. I'm at Georgia Tech SAE tonight.
Sick. That'll be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. I'm excited to get back up there. I like all those guys. Elijah's the great Athens songwriter of our generation.
He's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love Horse Girl. I know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe that's like a basic pick.
No, that's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Dude, Horse Girl's great. Greatest Hits.
Yeah,
Molly
Greatest
Haskell.
Hits. Fantastic. Yeah,
Those
I like
great.
the old. I like fucking Don't Come Around Looking For Me. I think that's the name.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, I always get that one mixed up because it makes me think of that Tom Petty song, Don't Come Around Here No More.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been riding with Elijah for a while, man. He's got some fucking banging tunes,
yeah.
bro.
I'm also a big fan of Zach Crook. He's my other roommate.
See, Zach's one I never really listened to. I need to get Zach on here. He seems like a cool guy. I met him in the studio one time, but I've never really I listened to his EP where it's like a SUV on the front or something.
There's one of him. Oh, well, it's his album, June Kicks My Ass. It's like him in front of a giant, like, green, leafy wall.
He's always got the funny kind of thing going on.
Dude,
like, yeah, like the little lighthearted. Yeah, he's from Florida, I think. Cool guy.
Yeah, he is. I think Jacksonville.
Yeah, who else in Athens you been listening to? Anybody?
Let me think. Oh, dude. Well, gotta give it up to Drew Beskin, of course.
The man,
his new tunes are great.
I haven't checked him out, dude. I love Drew. I need to listen to him for our podcast next week.
They're my favorite.
What is it? Something Plum
Spoilers,
Blues?
Yeah, Paraplum Blues. Spoilers is great. Favorite. I listen to it almost every day.
He sent me Spoilers on the SoundCloud link like months ago.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, and I was listening to it. I was like, yo, Spoilers is my favorite one.
That one rocks.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God. Oh, so gotta give a shout out to the Echo Locations.
I've listened to them.
They're not technically an Athens band. They all live a little bit more north.
Okay.
But so two of them, Wes and Harrison, they played in my band at Flicker.
Oh, word.
And Gavin is the drummer. So they're a trio, and they play like really surf rock, like 50s, you know, think like Pulp Fiction kind of.
Oh, sick.
That's the vibe. And they're great. They're playing at September Days.
Oh, dude, September Days is gonna be great.
Yes.
Great lineup.
Are you gonna go?
I am gonna. Well, what day is it? 17th?
I think either 17th and 18th or 16th and 17th.
We're probably on the road. I'm not gonna lie, but I would like to come. I want to see the Hotel Fiction. They're dropping some new tunes. I'm excited about that.
Hotel Fiction's awesome.
They were like, I think they were episode like 27 on here, and they're the episode I always talk about because they were one where we got to the end and my Pro Tools crashed and I lost all their audio.
Oh no!
So if you listen to it, it's just the camera audio, and it's not terrible, but like still, I was like, that would have been a good one to get.
Yeah,
I need to get them back on here.
Dude.
Yeah, you know how it is. How it is. But yeah, September Days lineup's really good. Who else was I excited about? Tommy's on there, I think. Wim Tapley's really good. You ever listen to Wim?
No.
I feel like you would like Wim. Wim's a cool guy. He's making like,
I've heard the name.
Kind of Americana. I don't know how I'd describe it. To me, it makes me think of like, fucking like British music almost. I don't know how to describe it. It's like Jonas Brothers-y mixed with like, it's just, I don't know, dude. That was a terrible description of his music. You ever listen
Jonas
to
Brothers slap?
You ever listen to Sam Fender?
No.
That's who he reminds me of, like a soft Athens Sam Fender, and Sam Fender's like this British guy who like makes these sick sing-along rock songs. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so you should listen to Wim. You like him.
Wim Hapley.
Wim Tapley.
Tapley.
T-A-P. Yeah, you were close. T-A-P-E-L-Y.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I'll definitely check him out. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that, just rocks here. There's so many.
I don't know, man. There's a lot, but there's not a lot of bands here that tour, honestly. I wish more bands would tour here because I was talking about this with Dave Barbie yesterday. Like kind of like we talked about earlier, it's like to a certain extent, if you're playing Athens once a month, it's like, are you really like going for it? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I get it, and it's working out. Like Hefner would be a good example of it working out. But like a lot of them just like come on the show and they're like playing Athens once every 2 weeks and are like, asking me what they should be doing. It's like, bro, go play in South Carolina, go play Alabama, go play Virginia. You know what I mean? Like go play, take these tunes somewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah. What I'm worried about is if I want to do that is getting everybody on the same page, the band members, because everybody has so many different schedules.
That's true, man. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. You got to have 3 or 4 guys that are really committed to what's going on. Right. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I will say, I mean, I wish I knew the ratio, but obviously nobody knows. Like, what's the ratio of band entities that break through and singer-songwriter entities? You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, even John Mayer had to have a band. You get what I'm saying? Or even Tyler Childers or whoever. Like, they have to have a band to continue going on, or else you're just playing the acoustic guitar in a restaurant in the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That just, I don't think that would be something I'd want to do all the time. Like, it was fun to do at my friend's thing, but man, it's just so much more fun playing with a band.
Yes.
Like, I have more fun playing with a band.
You get what I mean? Is when I say like you can see a band and it's like, holy shit, there's a band. And then like you can walk into a restaurant and somebody's playing acoustic guitar in the corner. It's like, keep walking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The most you're probably going to get is like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, sick, man. I mean, you can get some people in it. Some people love that kind of stuff. I love watching my favorite artists play acoustic, But at the end of the day, I feel like you kind of have to have the band if you're trying to really do it. You know what I mean?
I feel that way. Well, personally, I would be more stoked to see somebody play a band than just one-on-one.
Every time, because I guess it's more of a collection or more of a rarity, like,
yeah.
You get what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. We made it 77 minutes. That's impressive, dude. That's impressive, dude. You're a smart guy.
Podcaster to podcaster. We can keep it going as long as we can, But yeah, dude, thank you for having me on.
No problem, dude. I'm glad. Tell the camera where to find your podcast, your music, all that stuff. Give them the Instagrams and everything.
You can find On That Note on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. And then my name, Parker Wierling, Wierling. That's on Spotify, Apple Music, any of that stuff. Wierling. I'd respond to anything. It's cool. So I'm just, all the socials, Instagram, all that stuff. Hit me up.
Sweet.
Follow me on Be Real.
Yeah, dude. I need to make a Be Real. Do you like yours?
Get a Be Real? Yes, dude. I love Be Real. It's great.
I was on stage in Statesboro and somebody handed me, he's like, can you do my Be Real? And I was like,
and you're like, what the hell is this?
I was like, how? And I just like pressed it. And
and then a picture of you comes up. You're like,
I was like, whoa. It's cool, man. It's cool. I'd like to have one.
Yeah.
But anyways, man, thank you for coming on. Thank you all for watching it. If you made it 78 minutes in, we love you. We love you. Thanks to Clark's Collective for supporting the show. They've been sponsors since day one, pretty much. Shout out Clark's. You guys go get a drink at Clark's. They got great drink deals. I think they've got Win Tapley tonight. You'll probably, by the time this is out, he'll be played. But they've always got artists playing. Y'all check out Clark's. Give him a follow on Instagram. And give this man a follow. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Hey, thank you, Jameson. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man. Let's give him a wave for the thumbnail. Give me a smile. Yeah, there we go. Thank y'all. Subscribe to the show. We love you. Bye.